teacher or administrator, we're not used to having many secondary people. So I'm just going to say how happy I am that there's more than one person in here. So excited. We're so glad y'all are here. Welcome, welcome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started since the recording is going. So if anybody does come in a few minutes late, they will be able to catch up. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? I think it would be beneficial, Phil, if you would like to stay in here. I think that would be beneficial. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am Miss Lupo. I am one of the math admin here at the high school. My other partner in crime is Miss Morris. You can see her on camera as well. We are so glad y'all are here. We're going to go ahead and show you just a few things that might be beneficial for you in helping your students in math specifically this year. So a few things that we are going to do are we're first going to learn how our parents and learning coaches can work with our educators to improve math. Okay. Then we're going to discuss like the school and state math assessments that we have. Yeah, I think I know why the chat was off. I might have to turn it off. I forgot how distracting it can be. I'm locking it. If y'all have a question, you can hold it for me. Make sure you have a little notepad like I always have and jot that question down so you do not forget it. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the change that is happening for next year with our new standards that are being implemented. I always think it's funny when we say we have math standards because let's be honest, math is always pretty much the same. I think we kind of just, after we, pull enough data, we're like, hey, I think the students need this earlier. So let's go ahead and see if we can move that stuff around. All right. So the first thing I just want to share, and I know we're all adults in here, so I don't want to read the slides for you. But in general, we want to make sure when your students come to math class that they always have, like I was just saying, a notebook. If they have a specific notebook that is just for math, that is even better. But make sure they definitely have something where they can take notes. We would love to have your support at home, is that being an expectation, since our teachers try to hold students to that as well at school. And so I know at the secondary grade bands, teachers do not really ask for parents to have to sit with their students like they were at elementary school. But feel free if you're ever you have a question or you just want to see what math is about, feel free to join your student in that class. Make sure they're joining Jigsaw correctly through Canvas and really focus on helping the students self-assess rather than waiting for the teacher to tell them what they need to work on. They can kind of tell, okay, I might need some assistance in this and kind of reach out to the teacher. We're trying to teach the students to take ownership of their learning, especially since these, as much as we call them our babies, they're going to be going out into the big scary world in a few years. So we want them to be as self-confident as possible. Also, if you want to kind of set up monthly, weekly, quarterly goals for your students, maybe if they're taking notes a specific way, you might want to check in a week or so and see if that's still working, or if not, how can we tweak that a little bit? Oh, I kind of jumped ahead, my bad. Also helping your student become their best advocate. Let them know that their teachers are not their enemy. They are their friend. We did not come into education for the glamour. At least I know every teacher that I know didn't. We are here to benefit students. And so we want to educate them and help them as much as possible, but it's very difficult if the students don't share their struggles. So it would be super incredible if you would kind of encourage your students to take an active role in communicating with their teacher. Through Canvas or Gmail is wonderful. Teachers will get back within a day, and so that's great. You can reach out to them. And also having an expectation at home for your students to attend live class sessions or watch the recordings. Um, Recordings are okay, but there's just nothing like being in a classroom and actually being able to participate with all of your peers, and you can ask questions right in the moment. It's just really incredible attending classes live. Yes, yes. Um, and this year we are working on encouraging our students to turn their cameras on in some of their classes, which I know could be kind of scary, especially at high school. They're like, I don't want anybody looking at me. But just kind of let them know it's good. I mean, Miss Lupo, I don't get too close because we ain't got a filter in Jigsaw. So I'm going to stay a little bit further back. My rose is just popping out, but you know what? It just is what it is. But our teachers would love to see your students on camera. Also, a few student supports for this year that we have implemented. We have a recovery learn module for any students that came in late. If they came in a week or so late, that recovery learn module is in Canvas. Oh, and your principal wants to see you. Yes, thank you, Dr. Taylor. um, but that module is in each course. There is a module there. And I want you to understand that all of that information in there is not like assignments aren't for a grade. Most of those things are just things that we have covered so far this year. And your teachers want you to have that information because even though that assignment might not be for a grade, you will be taking an interim assessment later. And they want you to have as much knowledge as possible to do your absolute best on those assessments. Yes, those are great for review. Thank you, Miss Morris. Tutor Me is also available through Clever, the Clever app. Those of y'all that are brand new that said you didn't even have a schedule yet, you might be like, I don't even know what all these things are. Canvas, Clever, Tutor Me, your FEL is going to be your best friend. And once you get through Strong Start with them, you are going to know these terms and you could do this. You could even do my job in explaining some of this stuff. So make sure your students understand that not only do they have the Recovery Learn module or Tutor Me, they also have their teacher, which is a fantastic resource. And if they're in class, they can always reach out to their peers. We like to encourage peer helping, peer collaboration in our breakout rooms. Teachers try to build that in. Yes, there is a lot of support. Teachers try to build that in into the breakout rooms where students are able to collaborate together because we understand, not everybody learns the same way, and a student may be able to explain it in a different way that the teacher didn't and may benefit another student. So we are all about that. And also encourage your students to check their grades frequently. This year, all of our grades are in Canvas, and you should be able to see the final average. This is a little different than last year, but it is the most accurate grade that they can have is in Canvas. Notice that blanks and zeros will indicate that the student has not completed an assignment. Also to remind you, in the assignment name, there is a date. That is the date it is due. That means that is the last day that a student can get a 100 is like the highest grade. After that date, our late policy falls in place and students will lose 10 points each day for an assignment being late. So if your student says, oh, I don't need to do that assignment, it's not due until Friday, you might want to say, but let's go ahead and get it, because if you wake up with a stomach ache Friday morning, you're not going to feel like doing this. Let's go ahead and get that stuff done early if we can. And our Infinite Campus, which I think y'all might be familiar with that if you were with us last year, it will have the overall average, and it's updated at the end of each semester. So the most accurate place you can find your students' grades and assignments are in Canvas. It's also really nice because you can communicate with the teachers in Canvas as well. Okay. All right. Yes, it is so critical to submit on time. Absolutely. And with math, and I think with some other subjects too, we encourage practicing in IXL. Some assignments are for a grade in IXL, but not all assignments. So that's a great place because it actually is tied to some of the Georgia standards, and students can actually go in and type in the search, systems of equations, and it'll pop up all the different systems of equations, not even just in high school. It'll pull like 7th grade when it's introduced and things like that. So if your student's really struggling, they can try the 7th grade standards until they build up their confidence or understanding and then move to another, maybe higher level IXL practice. They do not have a specific login they have to remember for IXL as long as they log in through Clever. Clever is very clever because it's like our brain, but better. Oh, look, I rhymed and I didn't even plan it, Latasha. Look at me. But it is because you don't have to remember all those passwords. It remembers all of that for you. So I personally am a fan of IXL. IXL also has a way that if a student answers incorrectly, it works them, like it shows them the steps of how to solve the problem correctly. And there are little help videos that they have just put in this past year into IXL. So I don't work for IXL, but boy howdy, I love it a lot. Some of y'all, if you're in here, not sure if y'all know about Desmos or not. Desmos is our bestie, okay? Desmos Calculate is a program, a platform online that has a calculator is what we use it the most for. It has a graphing calculator, has a basic calculator, has a scientific calculator. It even has a matrix calculator, which who even wants to talk about matrices? But if your kid has to, there's a calculator on there. Okay, it's amazing. And the best part is this is the exact calculator that your students will have access to on their interim assessments. And if your student is in Algebra 1, this is the same calculator they will have on their milestone in the spring. And so encouraging your student to get comfortable with Desmos is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I love me an old school calculator, okay? My mom was even a math teacher. That's where I got this from when she retired. She was like, "Hey, you need a calculator?" I was like, "Why, yes, I do." But this is just the TI 30XS. If your student is like me and likes to have something handheld, they don't want to have to deal with online, this is a great one for students that are in our Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and geometry courses. All right, assessments. We know our students love this, okay? So, assessments, aka our test, aka show me what you know, okay? I tried to get it to like fall onto what I say, Latasha earlier, SWAC, show what, SWAC, I can't remember. I tried to get some cute little acronym. Yeah, it wasn't cute because I was like, oh, we could do this. And several of my colleagues were like, no, don't say that. And I just said it on a recording. So sorry, Allie. But if you'll notice that our assessments are kind of weighted a little differently. In Algebra 1, if you have a student that's in Algebra 1, their interim assessments, notice that they have interim assessments 1, 3, and 4 will actually go into their grade book, their Canvas grade book, as a test grade, okay? The difference in that and all of our other math content is that they will only have I1 and I3 as a test in the grade book. Okay, so you might be thinking, why are you being crazy like that? Why are you making it complicated? Well, this is why we're making it complicated, because our algebra students have an EOC, and that actual grade is 20% of their second semester average, okay? So notice, like, if your kid's in geometry or pre-calculus or college readiness, they're not going to have that EOC. So instead of that being 20% of their grade, their interim assessment 4 and interim assessment 2 are going to represent that 20%, that final, whatever you would like to call it. Okay, so your student, if you have an algebra student, In the fall, they will have IA1 and then IA2, also known as our midterm or our semester final. And that IA2 will count as 20% of their grade for the first semester. Then in the spring semester, your student's going to have the interim assessment 3 and interim assessment 4, like all the other math classes. But in addition, they are going to have their EOC. So that's the only difference. Your student is required to take the IA4, which is the semester final, as well as the EOC. Normally, we get the EOC grades sometime during the summer, and I believe those are mailed out or emailed out to families. So unfortunately, your teachers will not know those before the end of school. If we trust me, as soon as we get the data, we send it out to families as quickly as possible. So we are not holding those hostage. I promise we will give them out as quick as we can. Now, I know this can kind of be a little overwhelming. Miss Morris, Miss Stanley, do I need to go over anything for the assessments? I feel like I kind of twisted my words up and I might not have explained it correctly. I'm assuming nothing means it's good, so we're going to keep on going. Okay, good deal. Y'all set me straight. All right, so we were just talking about the end of course exam. Okay, so EOCs are from April 27th to May 5th. So it's like a Thursday and Friday of one week and then the following full week. If I am correct, please correct me someone if I'm incorrect. The full week is when your student will take the EOC. The Thursday and Friday of the prior week, I do not believe they're doing EOCs those days, but that could be completely incorrect. I know you will be contacted. Do we know when they might have contact about start getting communication about end of course exams? Is it March when they normally have stuff going out? Okay, I haven't seen communication either. But don't worry, we will blast stuff everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. You're going to get emails. You're going to get pop-ups. Good gracious, we might even get a billboard in downtown Atlanta. Not really. That would be cool, though, wouldn't it? But yes, we will share that EOC information as soon as we can. There are so many resources online for our students to practice end of course exam. Okay. There are several different types of questions. And also down here at the bottom, we kind of showed the calculations and how it's important to have such a good, strong grade going into the EOC. Because we understand that not all of our students are great test takers. Testing anxiety is a real legit thing, and it is debilitating for some students. So I don't want them to worry about that. I want them to be comfortable enough with their average going into the end of course exam. So if you notice down here, just algebra 1. Mm-hmm. Yes, do you have a question? Can you private message me and I will say it in just a second, Miss Yvette? I'd appreciate that. So algebra 1 semester B, if the student has an average in Infinite Campus of 72, that will count as 80% of their grade. And whatever they make on the EOC, for this example kid, they made a 56. Okay, so they had a 72. Once we factor in that 56, that counts 20% of their grade. Their final average for that semester will be a 68.8. Okay, so just sharing how that's calculated in. Yes, we do need a 70. A 70 will give you your credit. That's another thing that's not on here, but I would like to share. At the high school, students get credit based on their semester. So if your student does great this semester, they could get up to, I think they take 6 classes, so they could get 6 half credit, so to speak. And then in order to get that entire credit, they have to also pass that same class in the spring semester. Yes. Ooh, come on. All right, so on here, I will share this document with y'all because it's got all of these underlined things are hyperlinks. Um, but there's a section on parent resources where you can go and see um, what would be most helpful for your students, maybe for you to know. There's also student resources, has a practice test. It actually logs in just like the EOC. It has access to the Desmos calculator and the formula sheet. This is also the formula sheet that your students have been using all year. So this isn't the first time they're seeing that. Also, something really beneficial for parents is over here on the right side, the Georgia Milestone Algebra 1 achievement level descriptors. These are really great to look at as a parent if you're not really sure what does it mean to be a beginning level? Why do people make such a big deal if my kid's a distinguished level? What does that even mean? So you can check out this link right here, and it will actually provide you the details of what each of those levels mean and what that actually means for your student. All right, so here are the current had a speech impediment as a kid and it comes out at times. Sorry, y'all. So our current courses at GCA, um, Foundations of Algebra, a small percentage of our students go into that. Most freshman students start with Algebra 1. Then they go to Geometry, Algebra 2, and then they get to choose their fourth math. At the moment, our options are Pre-Calculus, Accelerated Pre-Calculus, AP or Advanced Placement Statistics, and AP Calculus, Advanced Placement Calculus. And we have College Readiness Math and Statistical Reasoning. College Readiness Math and Statistical Reasoning are two of our new courses. We're really excited that we're offering those this year. So those are two brand new courses this year. So if you were here last year and you're like, I haven't ever heard of that, that's why. And if you notice over here on the right, this is our most common progression at GCA is just Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, because those three are required. And then whatever they would like to choose. Oh, I didn't even say dual enrollment. Yes, a student could do a dual enrollment math as well. All right, so I highlighted these. These are just the current ones that I just said. See, I'm getting ahead of myself, y'all. Sorry about that. But these are just the current classes that are offered as a fourth year option or for that fourth credit for our students. All right, this is what everybody wants to know. Graduation. Okay, here are the graduation requirements specifically for math. Okay, just like we said, they need 1 unit of Algebra 1. So remember, half a semester, half a credit in the fall, half a credit in the spring. Then they have geometry. They have to have 1 credit of that, and then Algebra 2. Some students, I was trying to see, it doesn't have anything on here about FOA. If you have any specific questions about, are my kids taking the right classes? How many credits do they need to be current right now? All of those questions, you need to reach out to your counselor. I'm going to say that one more again. If you have any questions about graduation requirements or credits or anything like that, go to your counselor because they are super knowledgeable about that. Okay, so they are the ones that have the most knowledge about that and can give you the most information. You could ask questions to your teachers, and they are probably going to say, call your counselor. Okay, so when in doubt, anything about credits, reach out to your counselor. How do I know who my counselor is? Well, I'm so glad you asked. If you log on to Infinite Campus and you click on schedule, and your students might be like, parents might be like, huh? Ask your students, okay? So look at your schedule, and at the bottom, I believe it's at the bottom, it shows your counselor. So it'll tell you who your counselor is. It also shows who your attendance specialist is. Okay? So those of y'all that are new, that is something I wanted to point out as well. All right, y'all. So if you look at these, you can see they look very similar. Okay. So these are our new standards, and this is the new progression. We have algebra, but instead of it just saying algebra 1, the new standards are algebra, concepts, and connections. Okay. So geometry, it's geometry, concepts, and connections. Instead of algebra 2, it's guess. Y'all got it. Advanced algebra, concepts, and connections. Okay. Most of our math 4 options, which they're so small right here, I apologize. Most of the 4th year options the names are staying the same. We do expect to keep college readiness mathematics and statistical reasoning as 2 of our 4th math options, along with our AP and pre-calculus courses as well. Notice this is a traditional path. It's not only option for everybody, but it's the most common. So we will share more information about the new standards next year when those are actually rolled out. Oh, look, it's us. So if you would like to, I'd like to introduce, now that we're done, Miss Stanley is our amazing assistant principal here at the secondary grade bands. She is phenomenal. And who could forget Henry Caudell? He is our instructional coach. Henry is like so supportive, in there to help the teachers. And so he's helping them with obviously their instruction and implementation. Your kids might see them or one of us in class just jumping in to see how awesome your teacher's doing. Myself, I'm Becky Lupo, and I help with the geometry courses, pre-calculus courses, college readiness, and AP statistics. AP statistics. There we go. And Miss Morris helps with our foundations of algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, and our statistical reasoning course. So, yeah. Oh, Allie's reading my mind. So, yes, if you have any other questions, you could reach out to Miss Stanley, who is our assistant principal. If you have any questions about your students, if you have any questions about curriculum specifically, feel free to reach out to myself or Miss Morris. If you try to email me, do not put B Lupo, because it is R Lupo, because I'm Rebecca. Thank you. Don't want you getting something bounced back being like, there isn't a Blupo at Georgia Cyber, because I'm representing Blupo, but it's just not legal. So with that being said, if y'all have any questions, we would love to answer those. I'm kind of nervous to open the chat because it just like blah, 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 last time, but I'm going to do it anyway because I ain't scared. Latasha, you got to help me keep up. Miss Taylor, Miss Stanley, would y'all like to share anything? You are welcome. I'm so glad y'all came to visit. The survey is the one that was in the main room. So I guess I should grab it and share it again. Give me a moment. Give me just a second. So if you filled out the survey from the main room, that is what I'm sharing right now. Oh, thank you, Miss Bronner. Oh, thank you, Anissa. I'm so glad y'all were here. I'm telling you, I'm not used to seeing like parents and students and stuff like this. So I was really like out of my element, but I love it. I love it. I do not believe community service hours are a requirement, but that since it's dealing with graduation, I would definitely reach out to your counselor if you have any questions about that. But I do not believe it's a requirement here at GCA. Hey, but it always looks good on a transcript, though. Thanks, guys and gals and y'all. Hey, Abigail, if you're with your mama. Awesome, y'all. Well, I believe actually, let me not even say that because this ain't my rodeo. I'm just one of the cowpokes in it. Give me a second. Let me make sure it's okay to dismiss y'all. Okay. Phil, that's a good question. Miss Stanley's writing something. She's the definite. I would say she's going to finish out Algebra 2. Oh, okay. So, yeah, she would probably finish out Algebra 2 if that's what she's currently taking. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. You are welcome. I'm so glad y'all were here. And I believe y'all are good to go. I was waiting to hear back.